Okay, so Fi, the function Fi, or I've been calling soul intuition. It's kind of the feeling of being a protagonist and a hero. Uh, and I feel like I see this in Fi children, and in most children, kind of. But I think children have a high Fi, generally speaking. They're pretty good at having this authenticity in themselves, like this just a feeling of being themselves and being allowed to be themselves, at least to a very high extent, and then kind of they get and less allowed to be themselves, maybe like when things happens in life and generational trauma on these things. Maybe, for example, adults can have envy of their children. It kind of sounds kind of strange, but like I think adults can have envy towards children, and kind of they are doing it unconsciously. Then they don't know they are doing it, but they feel like this children is not allowed to have this amount of fun and joy and like magic in their life. So the adult will kind of say to the children like you are not allowed to have this much fun and stuff. You have to be more bored, and you have to like the adult will kind of try to pass on some of these belief systems that the adult has, which comes from this gray locked down state and the world that they are finding themselves in, because they kind of don't want to see inside themselves that they have ideas about the world that is kind of not good in a way. But it's a little bit complicated, because of course the parent of course wants to protect the children from the future and stuff. So it's kind of complicated. But I hope you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Okay, so the Fi protagonist and hero is kind of this artistic masterpiece in a way, like a very like um, self-expressive thing going on, but not in every way possible, but in the heart way possible. So it's going to be herself from the heart, to be herself from the heart, in all the unique ways that this person can be herself. Yeah, so it's kind of this feeling of I am is kind of a feeling, and when we are ourselves truly and authentically, authentically, it's kind of this I am what I truly love, like my own desires and likes and preferences and all of this from the heart and not from false ideas, which everyone gets false likes and desires about who they are, but like to the more extent they can have this pure desire from the heart, then to the higher extent they will kind of shine like themselves and their how they truly are. Yeah, which is always about love. Yeah, so I think having high Fi as a function is kind of this constant conversation with a higher self in a way. It's kind of this ability to talk with yourself in a way, your real self essentially, or your kind of your more wise self. I'm not sure how to put it, but like it's kind of I kind of observed that Fi people are most likely to mention the word soul, because I think the soul is very linked with Fi. Yeah. So it's kind of that's why I'm calling it soul intuition, because Fi kind of have this uh, she gets these like intuitive downloads from her soul, and she can feel it. So she feels like the higher self is communicating with her, which allows her to change her habitual self into align to align more with the higher self or authentic self. So morals is then the byproduct of that, because morals just kind of feels right to the FI person, and that kind of reminds me about this event I had in school once. It was winter time, and I remember I was influenced by this. There was a group of people or children basically who kind of they said something to me that I shouldn't listen to, but unfortunately I did listen. So it was kind of like, can you go over there and destroy this base or base snow structure that someone else had made. And I did listen to these guys because they were kind of cool, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to this because they are cool, and I guess I gotta listen. And I didn't really listen to myself, like what should I actually do. I was more like seduced by these other cool looking children, right? And I destroyed this structure by jumping on it, and like in that moment I remember I kind of regretted, but I was doing the regret in a healthy way, in a sense. And I actually saw the person who built it. She was disappointed with me because she started to cry. I remember, and I was like, why did I do this? This is not who I really am. And I felt this. Kind of existential emotion inside me, like a surge come down in myself in that moment. And what is kind of interesting, I didn't feel kind of bad about it. I didn't feel like guilt or shame, or I didn't feel guilt or shame in this scenario. What I actually felt was like, this is not who I am. I did something I'm not. That's what I felt. And because this surge of energy coming down in me, in that package of intuition and clarity, I already understood that I shouldn't have shame or guilt for what I did. I just understood that this is not who I am, and I don't have to do this again. I just have to listen to myself and kind of care about morals and other people, like basically love, right? I understood that love would do this and this and this and this just by listening to this surge of emotion, which included that I wouldn't feel shame or guilt, because that is also love. That is to forgive yourself. That is what it actually means, which is equally important to love. And I believe that's why I think FI people can be fairly good at forgiving themselves. But if you have like, I noticed this pattern in IFJs or INFJs, for instance, that they can feel very. I think they kind of they don't grasp this FI function inside themselves very as easily, so they would instead feel very guilty and shameful about doing such things, and so they kind of that's kind of they kind of lack this self-forgiveness, like love to themselves in a way, because they don't understand the FI function as it should be understood. They kind of understand that it's there. That's kind of why you see all this IFJs. They kind of get this. Actually, they come with this moral hammer very often. I would say more than FI heroes. More than FI heroes, the like IFJ personalities, they will come with this moral hammer and like, this is not okay, I don't forgive you. Or they, if they feel like they did something wrong, they don't forgive themselves either, which is kind of lacking this self-love in a way, or proper understanding of FI, I would say. But they can learn it, and they can integrate the FI function like it should be integrated, yeah, and relate with it correctly. Yeah, so this truth that we feel in our heart, like it's a heartfelt truth, that is what I'm calling soul intuition. Though I also call that spirit intuition. It's just that soul intuition like is your individual consciousness, while spirit intuition is like this collective self in a way, which is also in this theory, that is also the self. It's just that people doesn't commonly think that the self is also collective. Yeah. So the idea is that FI actually develops these morals and authenticity, not to impress people or to become more morally superior, because that is not the goal. The goal is not to be morally superior, but the goal is to be happy and to find love. That is the goal. So it's not like I'm going to care about morals because then I don't get to prison and people will admire me. That is not how it works. How it works is I care about being authentic and have good morals and good values because I want to be happy. I want to enjoy life and feel in love with myself and others. That is what it actually means, and that's the motivation that should be there. So the motivation should never be to avoid prison or punishment, or avoid shame or guilt, for instance. That is the same thing. That is not the motivation for developing this function. Okay, so this is from the movie Lion King, which you see in this picture. So it's like, remember who you are. Remember who you are. The one true king. So that kind of points into this individual consciousness, like you are the king, the individual king of your life. You are kind of, that's kind of what it means, like reality revolves around your habitual emotions, and that means that reality revolves around you in a way. And that is not the whole truth. It's not the whole truth, but it's a part of the truth that is significant to realize and to accept in a way. And that goes actually back to what I said about how adults often kind of take something children kind of already know, and they kind of know it's not like that, and the children start to believe in the adult, and it becomes this kind of generational trauma in a way, because the adult may say that the world doesn't care about like you. It doesn't care about you. I know that the adults actually just want to say that you shouldn't be as selfish kind of idea, right? But it's also important to understand that the reality actually responds to who you are, like your personal self, and the world is not separate in a way. So you really matter. You really matter to the world. That is really important to understand. So what you feel and what you cultivate inside yourself, the reality around you will kind of respond to that, and it will orchestrate around this, so that you as a personal consciousness will fit as good as possible in this reality and in this community. And a more down to earth way to say that and to show that is that if you are like you find friends that resonate with you, right? So you find friends that resonate with you because who you have cultivated within is going to resonate in a way that attracts the right friends to you, or the friends that is aligned with your personal vibration, I would say. So that is why it's important for you to actually create this personal vibration as you want it to be. Essentially, be yourself, be authentic, and you will attract the right friends. And Cataronics want to take that even less down to earth than that as well, to the extent that even components, everything in your life actually will try to be attracted to you in a way, based on what you have within yourself. So it's not only friends, that is just the very like down to earth logic in order to understand the concept, but it actually involves everything, not only friends. It actually revolves around, yeah, literally everything, work, life, and everything. Yeah, so it kind of is supposed to revolve around your values and individual preference. And for example, a good example might maybe, for example, you have values that is kind of in the gray zone, and there is no, maybe no absolute truth to what is the actual value. For example, some people like monogamy, and other people they like more like polygamy. And I think maybe both of those are both of those are can be values in their own right in a way. Of course, there's a lot of discussion around that, and I'm not completely sure myself. I just believe that both of those are okay ways to live. But the idea here is that I want to get out here is that you choose your reality. So if you choose that you want polygamy, it becomes like this personal vibration that you have in your habitual personality, and it will attract others who also are into that preference, and kind of it allows you to share that way to experience life with others who also want to experience life like that. And there is a pitfall too, because I think which actually FI people often go into, unfortunately, which is to focus on what we don't like is actually not a good idea, because if we focus on what we don't like, it becomes also a part of our personal vibration. So let's see, if you really despise polygamy, for example, this is just an idea. I'm not sure if it actually would happen like that, but like if you really despise polygamy, maybe if you really hate it, you kind of end up with it in a way. That is like you meet people who are polygamy people and you don't know, and then you have to be mad. Like this will reinforce your emotion about not liking polygamy. So it kind of also orchestrates around your personal vibration. So it's really important to focus on what we like, and it's important to accept other ways to live, like religions and so forth. Like we should accept that people want to live in different realities, essentially, which is different ideas about how we should live. So we just need to accept it, and then we can focus on what we want in our personal reality, which will revolve around us, at least to a very high extent. That is what Cataronics want to get out there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So essentially, changing your beliefs and emotions. I think if you change beliefs, it will also. I think beliefs and emotions are somewhat connected in a way. Like if you believe in nihilism and grief, then I think you feel emotions of grief even if you don't know it. Actually, I should say more about that, because I know many people, they like nihilism, and that's okay. I think actually nihilism for some people actually are beneficial, which sounds really weird. I don't think it's aligned with truth, but personally, I think it's a coping mechanism, because if you have a personality that is and this is just my opinion, just saying, but like if you have a personality that is not aware of their desires very much, like they have desires, but their desires is actually not aligned with their soul and spirit and love and heart, but they have like these fake desires that they believe are their own but are not. And if you, and that goes for all humans, by the way, but like if you have very much of that, and then you become into nihilism, it kind of actually liberates you from all of those desires that pulled you into the wrong directions. So it's kind of like, since you don't find that life has meaning anymore and stuff like that, you will actually, these toxic desires that you had won't have as much power over you anymore. And that is actually why that way to live can be liberating to many people. So maybe that is a good first stepping stone for many people, to kind of have like a path into individuation. Like individuation is unique to everyone. Like they have to find their own path into that individuation. But I'm fairly certain personally that life has meaning, because I had this awakening, Kundalini awakening, and I felt like this love and existential recognition. Yeah. So I'm fairly sure myself that everything is meaningful and everything is about love, essentially. But to some people, nihilism can actually be a loving coping mechanism in a way. Yeah. So it's like that. It's okay. But I don't think it's. Yeah, it's a harder topic, essentially. But you always had this like kind of war between religion and science, kind of, and science is kind of the movement that doesn't want to see any living substance in everything, while religion is kind of the opposite. It kind of looks for the living essence in everything, which I believe is very tied to the T function versus the F function. In society as we have now, we are already very nihilistic in a way overall, I would say. So even F types now is kind of more on the not sure, maybe there's no meaning kind of movement. But in other cultures, like in these older cultures before the industry and stuff started, that they were more into the finding the living essence in things. And I believe maybe that is why I found this experience that I had in the old text, like esotericism, and I think paganism too, like these very old ideas about how reality worked. Somehow they actually found this truth about the awakening and the spiritual nature of reality, which is very profound in my opinion. I think today we're too fearful in a way, so we want certainty too much, and we are relying too much on science as the only truth, while we should instead we should use science to discover, like we should kind of experiment with our consciousness and a kind of religious or spiritual things, and then we can apply science to together with that to kind of understand more and more certainty in towards that direction of in the spiritual direction, essentially. Yeah. Yeah, and here we have the magnetic field of the heart, which I experienced. with love in my chest, and this bubble around me, it was, I could feel love in this bubble around me, and it was moving. It was moving around me all the time. I think actually in both directions, which is kind of weird. But emotions is kind of is kind of emotion. It's an energy in motion. So emotion means energy in motion, and I think energy in motion is kind of why I felt this to be love, probably because I understood that this energy was myself in a way. I think, or at least as a part of my body. At least it was not separate from me in some sort of way. And I didn't know about this field, by the way, when I experienced it. I did not know about torus fields either. And basically, there was a torus field established around me, and I didn't even know about that geometry. And so it's like, because some people, when I talk about this experience, they will assume that maybe it was imagination, but it's I wouldn't imagine something as boring as a torus field. Like, for me, it would be more like fantasy and stuff. Okay, so FI is kind of directed to your own heart. It's your own soul, and I think own heart is connected with own soul. I don't know exactly how it is connected in that way, but I think the heart is somewhat related to own soul. Maybe the physical heart is like the S version of the sensory version of F, while the soul is the intuitive version of F. Maybe, just to speculate on. And this physical heart of ours can create this bubble or EM field around us. I've made this illustration on the side, and actually, this is actually kind of funny. Like, I saw some videos on this electromagnetic field, and it was said like this center of the torus field was kind of I think it was called the inertia, and like it was the drive or dynamo, or like kind of engine to make this structure work in this. It was some kind of INTP who talked about this, and he said it was like that, and I found like, does that mean like that makes sense with this with this heart electromagnetic field of the heart, or maybe the center of the field is actually the gut or solar plexus. I'm not sure. It's either the heart or the solar plexus. I'm not really sure, but in the Heart Math Institute, they are saying that it's the heart that makes this field. So I guess they measured that it is the heart. I'm not completely sure about that one, but that's what they are saying at least. Yeah, what I found to be really cool is like I understood later that this symbol that we have of a crown and halo, like we use halo around the angels, and the crown for like kings or power or whatever. And what I understood is that this is directly related to this torus field, because in my experience I had this halo. I didn't feel a halo. I didn't feel a halo above my head, but I felt this laser or beam of love come up from my head. And what I actually understand now is that this halo is actually just a symbol of an open portal. So it's like open chakra. It's an opening, a portal up to the maybe electromagnetic field of the earth, and that is kind of interesting. We have all of these symbols right in front of us. Like also when you text in the messenger, you send hearts and stuff, and this is symbols directly related to real phenomena, real metaphysical phenomena, which is really cool. And I figured out that also this crown, which is also a symbol, it directly correlates with this torus field that is going like this, like is kind of spreading to the side in different ways in a sense, and that is also how we makes a crown or draws the crown. It's kind of this power that comes up from our head, just like in my experience. Yeah, and we also say that in spirituality, it's called the crown chakra, which is I think they symbolize it more like a petal, 1,000 petals, and a flower that is opening. So a flower is opening like this, and you get this same as crown, to like spikes up to the sides. Yeah, and that's I just liked that discovery in a way, because it was just an intuitive insight I had, and I didn't find it any. I just found it in myself, and it's always funny when I kind of just get these insights. And yeah, so it's actually probably this bubble around us, the personal bubble around the heart, which is responsible for orchestrating the life or world around our personal vibration. So when we, it's kind of the signals that we are casting out in this electromagnetic field around us will further kind of merge with all the other electromagnetic fields in reality, including the Earth one, and even in the universe, I suppose, and also like just everything have this connection through electromagnetic fields essentially, and that kind of explains even in a kind of physical way how I can feel something here, and that it affects something far away from me, and can that I can feel something here that I can attract something far away from me. It's because we are all connected very directly through these fields that is always interfering with each other. And that's actually what we see in this picture above here, that they are interfering with each other, and that is probably exactly what causes this relationship. It's when two hearts or two souls are interfering. It becomes a new relationship, and that becomes also in Cataronics, that actually becomes a new self, or a new person in a way. So in Cataronics, you don't only have this individual self, but you have all the collective selves, which is essentially your relationships, and all. Yeah, it's kind of complex because it can be 3 people, it can be 2 people, it can be 10 people, it can be humanity, it can be yourself with animals and such like stuff like that. So this collective self is very complex and has very many forms. So it's just two consciousnesses together kind of satisfy the definition of a new consciousness in a way, and that is you can experience that if you go into a party, for instance. You kind of get this new feelings inside you. It influences who you are, because you kind of become them if you allow, especially if you allow to become this party or environment. You are becoming it. So you kind of have some control over how much you allow it and how much you don't allow it, but in some extent it always happens, I believe. And yeah, that's why you kind of that's kind of why you want to have good communities, is because it's essentially part of your personal vibration. So if you are going to a lot to bad communities, and you don't have a good ability to say no to being that collective self, then you kind of merge more than you want, and it will influence you, and it will actually influence your individual self too over time. So that's kind of just something to think about there. Yeah. So is this the electromagnetism in contact with each other that is actually making this synchronicity phenomena happen or occur? But I think, as I said before, like the more open chakras you have, the larger this magnetic field is becoming, and the more you can do this synchronicity, and like it basically asks you to understand love. So to the higher extent you understand love and is open in your energy, the more you can operate in reality at a larger scale through this bubble around you. Yeah, so it basically means, especially if these components around you that you want to manifest are conscious, they will get inspired by your energy. They will get inspired. So it means like they may feel like, I want to go to this place. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know why I want to go to this place over that place, but I feel like I want to go to this place, and that means this person who you want to attract got inspired to go in that direction. So that is kind of what it means to manifest through heart, and like it has like this magnetic that is why it is called magnetic field of the heart. It's because it has a magnetic quality to it. Okay, so FI is kind of your true personality, or your most, I call it the most personal essence of yourself, because what is more personal than what you actually like, if that makes sense? It's your real desire and what you really like, and that's why I think it's satisfy the definition of you to the best extent possible. While SI is the habitual personality, so it's of course also personal and close to you, but like it doesn't always align with who you really want to be, or who you really are in the ideal way. You want your true personality to habituate into your habit personality and create this individual vibration that will attract the reality that you want. So that is how it works. I suggest, yeah. So SI feelings needs to be overcome and replaced with FI feelings, and that basically means you have to the feelings in your body, which is tied to your belief systems and ideas about reality, has to be replaced with like better beliefs and better ideas about reality and so forth. That is your kind of, if you listen to your soul, you kind of know what you should change and not. I think, for instance, I have been saying earlier in this presentation that once when I felt cringe, I understood that this feeling is a habitual personality feeling and not an authentic me feeling, and that is why I knew that I could change this feeling by listening to my soul and habituate this new perspective, a new way to relate to what made me feel this cringe feeling. It's essentially shadow work, right? Not all shadow work is this fearful or dark kind of thing. Well, maybe right, but like oftentimes our shadows are more it's more about the fact that we are fearful and we don't know it. So does that make sense? It means, what it means is like you have this shadow that you don't want to look at and don't want to touch, and because you fear it, right? And what it means is that you are making ideas about this shadow inside yourself that seems really, really horrific. But in actuality, they are usually not that horrific. It's actually just that you fear that they are horrific. So it's kind of the worst part is kind of more than your shadow. It's actually more your fear of the shadow that is the largest shadow in a way, because it makes all of these ideas about how like you may fear that you are some sort of horrible person in a way, and maybe you are to some extent, but like this fear to discover that usually means you could be the kindest person in the world, and your shadow could be actually just that you are afraid of looking, and maybe there's nothing there that was afraid to was worth to be afraid of, in a sense. And it's actually never anything worth to be afraid of. I think I may be sidetracking here a little bit, but yeah, the idea is that the shadow is usually not this horrible place, I believe, maybe. But I believe that we have all of these stuck emotion inside of us that are basically trauma, not released emotion, and that emotion will be very horrible to experience, because it's this emotion that made you have a very bad perception of the world, and that's kind of SI feelings needs to be overcome and replaced. But some SI feelings are already there, they are already born, and you have to feel them in order to release them, which means that you have to feel on these horrible, fearful emotions, like you have to feel them until they liberate themselves, and like the process that the body needs to release the emotion is kind of full circle, right? Because I think what happened in our past is that we stopped the process before it went full circle and kind of liberated itself, which you see in animals, fight, flight, freeze response. That kind of it's a kind of a part that the human usually don't do very well, like this, just letting the body do its thing with the negative emotions, because humans want to escape from negative emotions, which one shouldn't do. One should only cultivate a perspective that won't result in birthing the negative emotion. But if we are birthing negative emotion, I believe we need to have humility and say that I'm not perfect, I'm having these bad emotions now, and I just have to feel them through. I think that's how it should be done. Yeah. Yeah, so souls, they want to figure out who they are in various forms. That's a part of the existential purpose of FI. So it's kind of like Mew, the Pokemon Mew, like playing around and just transforming into different Pokemon and stuff like that. She just plays with life. Oh, by the way, since we are there, like Mew also had this bubble around her, which I believe is a symbolism for the electromagnetic field of the heart, because Mew is a heart Pokemon and a fairy in a way. and like this heart Pokemon is kind of she is. Yeah, she's talking about this in the first Pokemon movie, like to Mewtwo, that she tries to explain to Mewtwo that real power comes from the heart and who we really are, and not from our physical strength or external achievements and stuff like that. Like she literally tried to teach Mewtwo what who we really are in a way. While Mewtwo could be a symbolism for basically a human in a way, because he has more of a human form and is less playful. He is more serious, more stuck in this negative perspective on the world in a way. While Mew is just being herself authentically and have compassion for everyone and so forth. So it's like it's a good analogy for that. I think you could also see it as an analogy for left brain and right brain. But I think I will go more into that actually later, because for me Mew is actually a good symbol, the best symbol I found, I think, for uh, the nature of a soul and the heart, and yeah. Yeah. So I think the existential purpose is like this duplication of love and experience, and maybe ideas too. But yeah, for FI at least love and experience, and like just this having your own server and inviting people to have fun, basically. Like I think I will go more into that, but like for order to groups and people to exist, it has to exist the individual too. So it's like that's kind of the soul and spirit. Like for spirit to exist, the souls need to exist, and for souls to exist, the spirit needs to exist. So they are kind of one and the same thing in a way. And that's why it can also give us the idea that maybe it exists, because it allows for this like love affair between each other, essentially. Yeah. So it's, and also it kind of gives this unique beauty through artistic diversity. So it means that every consciousness can have their own heaven in a way, or even own expression in the heaven, one can say, which is fun and beautiful. I would like to consciousness, or to God, or whatever we call it. Yeah, yeah. So since fun is the reason probably, and love, it also provides this um, individual ways to have fun as well. And as I said, if spirit exists, then individuals must exist too, as a part of the same thing. Yeah, and actually, even in the context of community, the FI person, if the FI person has a very good quality FI, that is higher than the other FI in the group, like uh, generally speaking, that FI person will inspire the others to be themselves in the loving and heartfelt way. Because the FI person will show to the others that to it's possible to be themselves and be quote unquote selfish without doing that in a non-loving sense. And that is, I think that is very inspiring for people who didn't develop that quality yet. And also, I think the like the ability to have FI is kind of also your ability to kind of say no to the collective group feeling, because like all collectives and all groups have this collective feeling, and if we are able to just separate our own feeling a little bit from that, it means then that you can control your own feeling more independently. And what that essentially means is that if your group or community is having poor feelings in a way, and you can elevate your feeling within that group, it's going to be this one point of something the group can watch and be inspired by in a way. It's kind of like it's easier to understand with TI, because with TI you have Einstein, for instance. He didn't so easily connect with the hive mind of the world, like how they logically did things. So he was more like he has his own way to do logic, and if that own independent way of doing logic is doing something better than the average way to do logic, it's going to have this revolution effect in a way, influencing the collective to think new. So the collective started to take this one individual and basically be inspired and improve their logic based on that one person called Einstein, right? And that is the same that can happen with FI in a group context. And that is if the FI is a good FI, right? And maybe the best example of that is probably, for example, Christ, or Jesus, that he had the high FI, and kind of had this effect on the collective, just like Einstein had on the scientific collective, right? So that's a good example of a very high FI. If I'm not saying I'm a Christian or anything, but like if he existed and that story is true, then I would say that maybe he had very high FI, and the others could kind of get inspired in a way. Yeah. Also, you can also we call that a lot in spiritual traditions, like or at least the new New Age spirituality. You often say Christ consciousness, which basically should suggest that all of us, all of people, have this Christ consciousness within us, which is basically your authentic self, or I would say FI in a way, which is like this just sanity in a way, just expressing yourself as something divine in a way, and truly loving. Yeah. So that is just an idea. Like I had this idea, like in Christianity, is you actually have this idea that you have God and you have Jesus and you have Holy Spirit, and that is actually very coherent with what I made in this theory. So maybe that's something to that, because maybe Jesus is more like a symbol of the individual consciousness, like FI, while Holy Spirit is a symbol of the collective consciousness, which is FE in this theory. So that's possible. Like maybe God made Jesus and Holy Spirit in a way, and they have to, like, if the individual consciousness exists, then the collective consciousness must exist. That they are the same, two sides of the same coin. And Jesus could be a symbol of the individual consciousness. That's possible, and that's actually, like, if we see the spiritual way to see Christ consciousness, then it makes perfect sense. So it may be completely on the mark, maybe. Again, all I say in this theory is just to entertain and think about. And here I'm trying to say that FI and FE is one. They are they are one, but they are also not one. I don't know how to say that properly, but like they exist because of each other. That's the point. And you can even see it as the same thing if you kind of it kind of depends on what level of dimension that you are looking at the functions, and that's kind of what determines what shape you see of the function, which is really abstract. I know it, but like I don't know how to explain it any better than that. In fact, I think it's a lot of in this reality that you can't really explain very well because it might be kind of outside the reality itself. It's kind of like if you take a cube in a 2D world, a cube in a 2D world, you will just see the square, and the 2D way to think logic or and stuff like that would never be able to grasp what what a cube is. It would only understand what a square is. So it wouldn't have it would never be able to have the total image of what is there, because it can only see like a shadow of the real thing, which is that there is something looking like a square. And a lot of what I'm explaining in this theory is I'm looking, this looks like this and this looks like a square. So what I'm saying in this theory doesn't have to be right. It's more like it looks like this. And it can give us an idea about what is right, what is truly out there, but not the full image is probably true. So, yeah. And I believe Fi is the individual personal heaven, while Fe is the collective personal heaven. And I believe you are as much both of those. So let's say maybe this is also just maybe, but maybe 50% of your personal life is orchestrated around this individual personal vibration that you have. So 50% is only your doing, and the other 50% may be the collective self, which are coming as being part of your personal life. So it's really important to have a healthy collective and healthy environment. It's important that you see others also as if they are yourself in a way, because they are a part of yourself, probably. Yeah. So what heaven we share collectively will be a part of your experience, basically. While what you decide individually will be like 50% of your heaven, or your 50% of your life, I would say. And actually, of course, you can say, I'm saying heaven, but of course it doesn't only go for heaven, it's more like the experience altogether. So the collective also accounts for your some of your experience. So if, for example, if you are in a very bad collective and you have a very good values and stuff yourself, you may have like this really good personal attraction to things, but still you get influenced by the worse collective around you, and it will have negative effects on you. So it's like we have to collaborate in a way. The individual and the collective has to collaborate, which is a very like new way to see it. Yeah. So individuals, they exist because collectives exist, and collectives, they exist because individuals exist. Maybe that's most obvious. Like collectives, they are made up of individuals, and that's why it's a collective. But you could probably say the same the other way, that individuals, they are made up of a variety of collectives. So all of the collectives that you are involved with may be resulting in this individual self that you are. So of course that means you can choose what collectives you are a part of, and this will maybe influence your habitual vibration, your habitual personality vibration. And this is actually very interesting, is that when you give, you actually receive. Like my ESFJ mom, she likes to give a lot, and she says that when she gives to others, she feels good, and that's what it means. Like when you give, you are receiving a feeling like you feel good back, and even maybe sometimes it can also return in some way, maybe not from the same person, but like you get back from being kind and nice, you get back by doing that. Especially if you like if you do that but you feel like you are not appreciated, you feel like you are only giving and not people are not caring about you, then that is a part of your personal vibration that kind of blocks this natural thing that would happen, which is that if you give, you receive back. If you don't have an emotional signature that says I feel unworthy and stuff like that. Okay, so when you are giving something to someone else, they are you kind of, when you give something to somebody, you feel good yourself. So you are kind of receiving as you are giving. So that's kind of why giving also is receiving, which sounds paradoxical, but a lot of things in my theory actually sounds paradoxical. So you kind of have to see the MBTI theory more holistically, in a way, like kind of in a multi-dimensional sense. So oftentimes I go to the more paradoxical nature of the functions, which Carl Jung probably called the transcendent function, which is how all the functions are the same function. But in this theory, I go more like to the towards the like how is Fi and Fe the same function, and how is right. Not like I don't go all the way in on the transcendent function, but I try to go a little bit closer to the transcendent function, even though it's hard for our brain to kind of make sense of, because it sounds paradoxical and kind of it's not so categorized anymore in a way. Okay, so okay, and the same is actually true when you are receiving, and that's maybe more misunderstood. I would probably think, like if somebody receives a gift, like truly receives a gift, rather than being like I don't deserve this, no thanks, kind of attitude or energy. It's more like, I deserve this, I want to receive this, and when the person does that in the proper sense, with the heart, it's actually giving back out to the giving person, essentially, or everything actually, which you probably can see in children, for instance. So you can see in the image I posted, put with these presentations, the two images. It's like one of those are kind of very good symbol for Fi, while the other is very good symbol for Fe. And you can see how they kind of give and receive both at the same time. Though the one with the hearts coming up is kind of Fi. You can imagine kind of like small children. You can imagine small children, like when you give them compliments and stuff like that, how they kind of just, they allow themselves to receive that compliment in the heart sense, and they will kind of the energy will kind of emerge like this good vibe, and it's going to influence everyone around them. So that's why if you work in kindergarten and stuff like that, you will kind of notice that the children is much better at this. Like they are much better at this FI thingy, like receiving what they hear and the compliments and everything, and that will kind of spread, like have this positive infectious vibe to everyone. So I think people who work in kindergarten, they kind of give some they get some free healing actually from people being good at receiving. So that's equally as important as giving, but we have maybe kind of forgotten that a bit, and we often we when we see people receive, we kind of often we assume that it has to be egotistical or selfish or kind of not the appropriate way to be, right? And if that's how one see the phenomena, one can kind of try to undermine their own importance, and it will only give importance to giving and others, which will the giving will have good effects, but it would be much better if one could do both of these things without feeling that they are some sort of enemies or opposite things that doesn't work together in a way. Yeah. So So I kind of see heaven is a phenomena like I kind of see it like the orchestra of individuals playing in harmony, yet with their own sense of unique signature to it. So it's kind of a place where everyone they have partly the same values because they respect each other, and they kind of want the best for each other and stuff like that. Like there's this harmony going on. There's none of those individual movements are going to try to clash with the others in a way. Instead, they are going to try to form this individual melody or texture or quality that will ultimately kind of harmonize with the other instruments and or individuals, basically, in a way that actually makes it beautiful, just like music, right? Like music, in music too, we have all these individual components or different instruments and so forth, which makes the whole music sound very, very heavenly, like together, right? And that's kind of how I see Fi and Fe. That's kind of the idealism in a way. That's the higher self or authentic self-expression that we are searching for and remembering in a way, remembering and discovering at the same time in a way. Yeah. So that is how to see Fi and Fe as one thing. Okay. So I also wanna. This is kind of more back to Fi again, but overall it's kind of feeling, actually just feeling, which I just kind of wanna show you guys a video of how. Kind of something everybody kind of knows or have been in touch with, I would assume, but kind of probably forgot like over the years and doesn't take as seriously as it should be taken, which is this kind of capacity to use more of our everyday life to immerse ourselves more in feelings and in specifically heart feelings, basically not only expressing ourselves from the heart, but also feeling into who we are as kind of the most personal aspects of ourselves, which is basically love and this absence of dysfunction in a way, or disharmony in a way, right? It's and that's kind of complex, I would say. It's kind of complex because sometimes you kind of want this harmony too, but like in a song, if there's a little bit of this harmony here and there, kind of that's kind of the paradox. It can be harmony in, like, this harmony can be harmony when done right, and but it's hard to do it right, and it's just appearing here and there. So that's just a side tangent, really. But like, I think when we really feel like ourselves, we kind of feel the harmony. Like we feel the love and the peace and the love, and like this is it kind of feels like home in a way. Like someone says, um, what is that quote? It's like it's the most familiar unknown in a way. It's like you have always been familiar with it, but maybe you forgot it before you got born into this universe or body or whatever. But like the feeling of home, I would say, is the feeling of connection with with consciousness, with everything that lives and loves each other, basically, and is truly conscious. Yeah. So yeah, this video is actually is just me listening to music and connecting to myself, and the music, and just kind of I kind of disconnect from the sensory world in a way, by basically closing most all the senses I don't need. So I just use my hearing for this, and I close my eyes to get less sensory input. And that's kind of, you easier go into this dreamscape, right? Where you are not that governed by the habitual self in a way. Yeah, so you can kind of how do I explain it? Like, it's kind of you're kind of less identified with the experience of being a human and so forth, so you can more identify with something new, at least something new that you are not in your habitual personality. And if you do that, you can kind of discover, I like this and this and this, and I can integrate that to my personality. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm finding what I like through this music, and I'm integrating this feeling, and I'm also using this feeling to kind of understand things. Like when I come with these concepts, it's usually because I'm guided by something that I'm not, in a way. Yeah, that's an intuition kind of thing. But feeling is also a sort of intuition. It's like intuition through the heart, or maybe it's NF exclusive. I'm not sure. I know that sensors, feeler sensors, they're also very good at being authentic and caring about who we are as living beings. Okay, so I think this song I'm gonna play. Well, I'm not playing a song, but I was actually just listening to Japanese anime music in this video, and I was just going out of the shower and sitting down and listening to this. And I actually used to do this when I meditate, which I actually feel way better after I have meditated for an hour and then listen to music, right? So this is kind of just to show what I'm doing. Though here I'm just straight from the shower and just I just sit down to do this exercise from there. But you get the idea. It's like you immerse yourself in the content. I think it was Aimer music I listened to here. Yeah, so let's take a look on that. yeah, so I hope that kind of showed just very quickly what I'm trying to refer to, because I think we use too much of our days to think, basically, and too little of our days to spend it on feeling, which is kind of about that habitual balance that you probably want, right? So you're not stuck in your mind, you're stuck in this so you kind of have this habitual um, balance between the functions, because that's also probably something we should consider to a higher degree than we are doing, at least. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm basically trying to say that you should probably do this yourself, probably, because most people like music, and it's a very easy way to tap into this into these feelings, basically, which is probably very essential for our health. So actually doing this is probably more healthy than it is to go and exercise, and that's just a statement, but it's probably actually more healthy. It's shown like this, when you feel gratitude and change your emotional state, is going to have effects on the whole system. So this is a very hidden exercise that we kind of have taken for granted in a way. Um, Actually, kind of reminds a little bit of the INFP daydreaming kind of things, which I claim. I probably claimed that early in the presentation too. That this quality of daydreaming is actually very underrated, and it's going to, because it's doing things to your body if it's a positive daydream, and it actually also propels you towards that future or a similar future that gives you a similar emotional response on the more habitual basis, essentially. So this is probably more healthy than exercise, even though the world has completely ignored it in a way. Maybe even calling it ineffective and useless at worst.